Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the 365 Money Heist podcast. And today we're looking at episode 40, chapter 9 of book number 5, Think Yourself Rich by Dr. Joseph Murphy, a phenomenal clinical psychologist and theologian. And we've really been going through this book deep by deep, law of the mind, law of opulence, law of constructive imagination. And he's just been layering and layering the same idea over and over again. Your subconscious mind is all you need when you use it the right way to operate at a different level in your life. Remember, you only know what you know, and you only operate at the level of which you know. To get more, to be more in life, you have to know more. And that is the whole point of this podcast, right? We get to know these excellent new informations and we do our best to apply them. Right, so I'll go straight into chapter 9 of the book, which is where we are. The chapter reads, or the title of the chapter, How the Law of Infinite Increase. Remember, infinite increase was brought up earlier on. How the law of infinite increase multiplies your wealth. Once again, I would very much encourage you to watch these episodes once or twice, because there's a lot of hidden gems inside, especially since I'm doing the reading for you. You really want to have a notebook, where you're writing some significant laws down and practical applications of these examples into your own life. Right, so one more time. How the law of infinite increase multiplies your wealth. Now, all people throughout the world seek to magnify their personal good. A divine urge whispers to men and women everywhere to rise, transcend, and grow and expand. This inner voice says insistently, "Come on up higher. I have need of you." You want friends, a better position, a more comfortable life. You want to have enough money to stop worrying about it. You want enticing food, attractive and comfortable clothing, a home that meets your every need, a fine automobile, and all other good things of your life. Chances are you also want to travel the world and see yourself the beauties of nature and the beauties created by humankind. Above all, you want to learn about the riches producing laws of your mind, which will enable you to tap the treasure house of infinity within you and experience life more abundantly. It is the nature of soil to magnify and multiply the seeds you deposit in it. You plant an acorn in the ground and you can in time look forward to a forest. But God gave the increase, right? In the same fashion, when you plant thoughts of riches, abundance, security, and right action in your mind and water them with faith and expectancy, riches and honors will be yours. Increase means multiplication of goods along all lines, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, socially, and financially. Just so we're clear, increase, when talking about the law of infinite increase, increase means the multiplication of goods along all lines, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, socially, and financially. Every thought is an incept action. When you begin to think of riches with your subconscious mind all around you, you will be amazed at how riches will flow from all sides. One August, I conducted a seminar on a luxurious cruise that visited ports in Canada and Alaska. In Victoria, Canada, 18 students of the law of mind joined me on the ship. We discussed the wonders and wisdoms of the subconscious for the entire afternoon. Several of the participants told me that the reading and applying the principles set forth the power of your subconscious mind and transform their lives, giving them a greater measure of wealth, happiness, peace, and fulfillment of their life. Next subheading, how he used the law of increase for great wealth. One man took part in our discussion, Jeremy M. He was in heavy construction. He later told me that for many years he prayed continually that God would prosper him. At the same time, he spent much of his time brooding over his lack of money and the frail condition of his business. When he went to visit members of his family, he came away preoccupied by the financial plight. For days afterwards, he could talk of little but their poverty. In his mind, he practically clothed them in rags. He could not understand why neither he nor his relatives seemed to be getting ahead. One day, Jeremy had a talk by an expert in mind science. Afterwards, he asked for a consultation. He described his plight and his puzzlement why were his prayers of prosperity never answered. The counselor explained that every thought is creative. Rule number one: as long as you continue to dwell on his own poverty and limitation or on those of others close to him, he would effectively neutralize his own prayer and go on to impoverishing himself. This came as a revelation to Jeremy. He worked on reversing the current of his thoughts. He declared his own conviction that God was prospering him in every way and was doing the same for his relatives. He began to claim God's riches for every person he met. Soon, his condition changed radically for the better. His business flourished more than he could have imagined. Today, he has 2 private planes to help him oversee the far-flung operations of his construction firm. Jeremy succeeded because he learned of the great fulfilling law. Here's the great fulfilling law. What you wish for another, not yourself, for another, you are wishing for yourself. What you project onto other people, you get multiplied to yourself. You wish terrible things for other people, it's the same principle. So I'll read it again. He learned a great fulfilling law. What you wish for another, you wishing for yourself. Or as an old Indian saying puts it, the ship that comes home to my brother comes home to me. And that's why I always respond to people with blessings. Like someone says, hi, how are you? I say blessings, right? I'm always declaring blessings over them, but it's also, inherently because I am DNA inscribing blessings for myself, right? So now the next subheading, how a professor used the law of increase to a personal benefit. Sorry. One of those who joined me on the cruise was Amanda R., a scholar in the field of philology, I guess. I don't know what that is. She told me that she attributed her success in her career only partly to time, energy, and enthusiasm she brought to her teaching and research. I made it a point from the start, she said, to rejoice in the accomplishments of my colleagues. I saw them as a team working together for the advancement of human knowledge. Anyone's success then was my success as well. And what were the results, I asked. I knew what her answer would be. My colleagues prospered, she replied. They manifested greatly the law of increase and the riches of the omnipresent divine bounty. It was only later that I realized another result, however. By appreciating and being happy about the good fortune of those around me, I was at the same time setting in motion the process that brought good fortune to me as well. Amanda was quite right in her understanding. Her thoughts of success for others entered into her subconscious mind. Whatever is deposited in the subconscious may come forth magnified 60-fold, 100-fold, even 1,000-fold. The result depends on the enthusiasm, the joy, and the intensity of the thought pattern. Today, Amanda is one of the youngest full professors at an ancient and celebrated university, rejoicing the ideas of riches and the ample supply for everyone, and that, I'll just do that again. Rejoice in the idea of riches and ample supply for everyone, and you are certain to experience the law of increase in your own life. How he made $1 increase into important wealth for himself. In Juneau, Alaska, I got into a conversation with a man at the next table to me at lunch. When I admired his well-worn leather flying jacket, he said, "There's a story to that. I was given this jacket by my uncle, who was a fighter pilot when he was young. At one point, I went through a pretty bad patch in my life. I would up here in Genoa with just the clothes on my back and one single dollar bill in my pocket. Not a very comfortable solution," I remarked. "What did you do?" "I found myself thinking about the fact that the whole world and everything in it comes from the mind of God," he replied. "I started walking with the dollar folded in my hand and a sentence going through my head over and over again. God multiplies this exceedingly, for it is God who giveth the increase." He paused for a moment, shook his head and continued, "I walked clearly out of town. Suddenly, I felt really hungry. I looked around and saw it was near the airfield. I went inside the terminal building and found a snack bar. When I asked the owner what I could get for $1, he said I could have whatever I wanted if I did give him a hand. His counterman had quit the week before and he was running around like a crazy man, trying to do everything himself. The long and the short of it is I stayed on. Pretty soon, I was running the snack bar for myself with a share of the profits. So your dollar really did get multiplied exceedingly," I observed. "But where does your jacket come into this?" That's the really interesting part," he said. "One day, as I was leaving work, a bush pilot who operated out of Genoa noticed my flight jacket. We got talking, and the more we talked, the more I realized that I did always wanted to fly, like my uncle. I started taking lessons, got my license, and well, 7 years later, I own my own little fleet of charter planes. We fly people all over Alaska. I took a lot of hard work, but something else too. I never could have succeeded if I hadn't looked to the source of all blessings. I know that God's riches flow freely, joyously, and endlessly in my life." Next subheading: perpetual opportunity for increase exists for you. Like the pilot I met in Genoa, you can use the law of your mind to advance, move forward, and expand in every way. Give your best where you are working now. Be considerate, affable, amenable, loving, kind, and full of goodwill to all those around you and to all people everywhere. At the same time, do not be afraid to think big. Contemplate the law of opulence and growth, whose evidence you can see all around you. Bless what you're doing now, when realizing that it is simply a stepping stone to your triumph and achievement. I'm going to read that again in case there's noise in my background, because this is very important. Now I'll say it again. At the same time, let's start again. Give your best where you are working now. Right? That's number one. We covered this in book 1. Be faithful wherever you are. Right? So that's important. Right? Be faithful with little so you can be made faithful over much. That's number 1. Be considerate, affable, unmaneuverable, loving, kind, and full of goodwill to all those around you. And that's number 2. You can't want good things in your life if that's not inherent in you, right? So it's just basic stuff, right? That's number 2, right? At the same time, number 3 now, don't be afraid of thinking big. Be faithful where you are. Be a kind, loving person to people around you. Number 3, don't be afraid of thinking big. Contemplate the law of opulence and growth, right? Remember, we've spoken about the law of opulence a couple of times. So number 3, contemplate the law of opulence and growth by not being scared to think big, whose evidence you can see all around you. Practical way, number 4, bless what you are doing now, while realizing that it is simply a stepping stone you triumph and achieve. You don't like your job, bless your job. Be grateful for your job. It is the only way out of the job you don't like now to get a bigger job. You hate your job, you project that lack, you get stuck in that job or in a worse situation. Right? So bless what you're doing now while realizing that it's still a stepping stone to your triumph and achievement. Recognize your true worth and claim wealth, promotion, and recognition in your mind. Be sure to claim riches and expansion for every person you meet during the day. Bless other people. Whether it be your boss, your associate, your customer, or your friend, make a habit of this. You'll succeed in impregnating your subconscious. Others will fill your radiation. We call that vibrational frequencies. We'll talk about that when we're looking at a Bob Proctor book collection. Right, radiation of riches and promotion, and the law of attraction will open up new doors and opportunities. So now here's the most famous law, the most famous and most commonly misunderstood law. The law of attraction has been brought up. So you've got the law of opulence that is to work in our favor here for growth, and it will lead us to the law of attraction. Now, next subheading, why the law of increase did not work for him. Right, because you're going to meet people who are going to say, this stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I tried it once. It doesn't work. Let's hear the story. Why the law of increase did not work for him. Your theories sound good, a man named Roger P. told me after a lecture. But they don't work in practice. I've been affirming prosperity and abundant success twice a day ever since I first heard you speak last month. It's been 30 days, right? But I'm not getting anywhere. It's no wonder I'm in such bad shape. Every penny my business makes goes out again in taxes. I'm being eaten alive by a bunch of bureaucrats and welfare bums. As we talked, I saw that without realizing it, Roger was actually boasting about his financial difficulties. He blamed the government, taxes, unions, welfare, and a whole political system. His dearest belief, the dominant belief, remember this idea of dominant belief, dominant ideas keeps coming up, right? So here it's called dearest belief, but well, it's the same thing. So let's find it. His dearest belief was that he was a helpless victim of circumstance, so that dangerous victim mentality. Do you recall I asked when I said that what you give your attention to, your subconscious mind absorbs and multiplies in your experience? And I'm going to quickly highlight that because that's literally the most important thing. Whatever you give your subconscious to, your subconscious mind absorbs and multiplies in your experience. Of course I do, he replied, a bit impatiently. Why do you think I spend all my time affirming prosperity and so on? How much time do you spend that way, I asked. Why? 5 minutes every morning and in the evening, he said. That's what you advise, isn't it? How much time do you spend every day thinking and talking about your financial problems, taxes, and government or so forth? His face changed. Oh, I see what you're getting at. As long as you continue to complain and harp on your financial troubles, I continued, you will magnify them and impoverish yourself. As long as you see yourself as a victim, your subconscious mind will arrange for you to be victimized. As long as you blame outside factors for your problems, you will be prey to those factors. My goodness, right? This is excellent stuff. Just quickly highlight it there. Right, but as I turn the page, but when you begin to understand that you are the master of the situation, you will become the master of it. Those are the real laws of the mind. So real quick, guys, it's one thing to start to regulate yourself and put yourself in a place where you're constantly affirming. You've got the gratitude list going, you've got your affirmation stuff, morning and night, etc. But if the dominant idea and all you're doing during the day is the opposite of what you're affirming, the dominant idea is what prevails the subconscious mind, right? So there's no getting around that. The dominant idea will always prevail. So it's something to please remember and look out for. Now, next subheading, how he reversed his faulty thinking. At my suggestion, Roger reversed his thinking. He began to see that he could begin to practice a creative process that would transcend circumstances and environmental conditions. His daily prayer was as follows. My business is God's business, and God's business always prospers. I use God's riches wisely, judiciously, and constructively to bless myself and others. I know the law of increase is well working, and I am open and receptive to God's wealth and bountiful increase. I am richly abundant, supplied within and without the infinite storehouse of riches in my subconscious mind. By day and by night, I am attracting more and more people who want to have, who want what I have to offer. They are prospered and I am prospered. My mind and my heart are open to the influx of God's riches now and forevermore. As he fed his mind with his inner truth, Roger's businesses prospered and his outer supply became more abundant. At the end of the month, he noticed tremendous change in his financial picture. He saw a great advantage in affirming the good and in ceasing to carp against lack and limitation. He discovered attention to God's riches is the key to financial success. Right, and the next and actually the final subheading of this chapter is the significance of the statement, my cup runneth over. My cup runneth over, popularly found in Psalms 23. During the recent tour of Europe, I paid a visit to the celebrated shrine of Fatima. While I was having lunch, a girl about 16 came over to my table and she said she recognized me from my television broadcast. I am Gloria G, she said, from Amistad, Alabama, and I want to thank you for the letter and prayer you sent me last year. I did just what you said and where I am. I am glad to hear that, Gloria, I replied, but I have to admit, I don't recall writing you. Will you refresh my memory? Oh, sure, she said. Her cheeks turned a little pink with embarrassment. I wrote to you to say that I really, really wanted to go to the shrine of Fatima, but I haven't had the money. My parents knew how much I wanted it and they approved. They would have helped me if they could, but there was never anything left over at the end of the month. So I sent you a prayer, I said. That's right, she replied. She reached into her bag. I'll show you. I always carry it with me. She brought up a clear plastic case. Inside was a card with these words, carefully written, letter handed by. God opens up the way for me to go to the shrine of Fatima during the summer in divine order through divine love. I've been meditating on it first and last thing every day, Gloria explained. And whenever I have a few moments during the day too. And every night before I go, so that's the treasure map, right? Before I go to sleep, I visualize the trip, treasure map, right? Always visualize what you want. Taking the plane, landing in Portugal, constructive, clear imagination. We learned that in yesterday's chapter, right? Chapter 8, like the constructive, clear imagination. It is now playing out here. Landing in Portugal, going to the shrine, I tried to see and hear everything I would see and hear when I actually got there. Well, I said with a smile, I can see that you did get here, so it must have worked. It sure did. She said emphatically. What happened was, I spent a weekend with my friend Jennifer. Her mom and dad said they were planning a vacation to Spain and Portugal, and I'm like, you've got to go to Fatima while you're there. I told them all about it, and they ended up inviting me to come along to keep Jen company. The Bible says, I go to prepare a place for you, and I go and prepare a place for you, and I will come again and receive unto myself that where I am, there ye may be also. Gloria prepared the place she wanted to go in her disciplined imagination. Sorry, excuse me. Right, in a disciplined imagination, right? She succeeded in impregnating a subconscious with the picture. Then a subconscious took over and acted on the minds of her friend's parents. They became the channel of the answer to her prayer. Before she returned to her friends, Gloria shook my hand and said, I really know now what it means when the Bible says, my cup runneth over. I'm sure you do, I replied. And remember, it is written, ask, and it shall be given unto you. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the final meditation of the chapter. All chapters always have a big final meditation. This one is titled Meditation for Your Business or Professional Success. Use the following powerful meditation to fill your cup with success in all things. I dwell on the omnipresent and omni-action of God. I know that His infinite wisdom guides the planets on their courses. I know the same divine intelligence governs and directs all my affairs. I claim and believe divine understanding in mine at all time. I know that all my activities are controlled by this indwelling presence. All my motives are godlike and true. God's wisdom, truth, and beauty are expressed by me at all times. All-knowing one within me know what to do and how to do it. My business or profession is completely controlled and governed and directed by the love of God. Divine guidance is mine. I know God's answer for my mind is at peace. I rest in the everlasting arms. And now the final, summary points as we wrap up the chapter today is going to be about 10 of these, which highlight the key things to take away from chapter 9. Right. Number one, all people throughout the world seek increase. It is a divine urge within us, right? And that's echoing book 1 of the podcast, Science of Getting Rich, right? So it's a divine urge within us, seeking fuller, greater, grander expression in all phases of our lives. You plant wheat, barley, oats in the soil, but it is God who giveth the increase by multiplying the grains 1,000-fold. Number 2, increase means the multiplication of your good along all levels. Number 3, don't talk about financial lack, poverty, or sickness of others. To do so is to attract more lack for yourself. Clothe everybody mentally with riches of God. Stop brooding about your financial troubles, and stop talking about your lack of money. Give attention to the riches of the infinite within and without, and you will prosper. Attention is the key to life. Number 3 for me so far is my greatest take home, right? My greatest take home. Even if you think you're practicing this, there is always a better way to do it, right? Constantly clothe everybody mentally with the riches, right? Number 4, rejoice in the advancement, good fortune, riches, and promotion of all those around you. Be exceedingly glad to see people experience, portray, and demonstrate riches of God. As you do, you will attract richnesses of all kinds to yourself. Your thought is creative, and what you think about the other, you are creating in your own experience. Be friendly with your money, whether a dollar bill or a coin. Realize everything comes out of the invisible mind of God or of humans. Realize that God or infinite spirit is the source of all blessings, and that it is nature of the infinite to respond when you call upon it. Number 6, give the best where you are working, and the best will come back to you. Be friendly, available, and amiable. Express God's will to all. Sorry. As soon as you do, all doors will open for your growth, expansion, and riches. Number 7, form a clear mental picture of what you want to be, to do, or to have. Know the power of the wisdom of your subconscious will back you up. Persevere and be determined to become what you want to be. Your mental picture will be developed in your subconscious mind and become objectified, become real, become a reality. Number 8, when you are praying for increase in money, be sure to stop blaming government, welfare system, and taxes. To do so will cause money to fly from you rather than to you. What you want is more money. Realize that God's wealth is circulating in your life. God's wealth, that's a powerful affirmation. God's wealth is always circulating in my life, and there is always a divine surplus. What you criticize and condemn becomes manifest in your life. You become what you contemplate, and contemplate that God multiplies your good exceedingly. You become what you contemplate. Therefore, contemplate that God multiplies your good exceedingly, that your business is God's business, and that you're prospering beyond your fondest dreams. Number 9, if there is a journey you are deeply long to make but cannot afford, affirm accordingly and fittingly. God opens up the way for me to go on this journey in divine order and through divine love. Picture yourself boarding the plane and arriving at your destination. Enter into your imagination until you feel the tons of reality once. You fix the picture in your subconscious, the way you will open up. The dawn and can I get that line again? Picture yourself boarding the plane and arriving at your destination. Enter into your imagination until you feel the tons of reality. Once you fix the picture in your subconscious, the way will open up, the dawn will appear, and all the shadows will flee. Ask, and it shall be given. Number 10, the meditation at the end of this chapter will be exceptional benefit to you in filling your cup of successful living. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's episode 41, I think, chapter 9 of Think and Grow Rich. Join me again tomorrow, every Mondays to Friday on the channel, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, where we do a chapter a day of a good book until we finish that book. And as we do that, we're starting to journal, make notes, and most importantly, make micro and macro adjustments in our lives to get to where we want. You only become what you know. So I'm hoping that the more you learn about this stuff, the power of your subconscious mind, the more you become. I wish you well. Blessings to you all. Thank you for watching, by the way. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me during this podcast, right? This is an impeccable thing that we're doing together here. And I hope to see you in the next episode. 365, man. Shake my hand. Peace.